This interview was recorded at the Epic Book stand in front of Epic Books during the Hamilton Locke St Festival in 2012.
Hello all. Today I'm at the Locke St Festival in Hamilton, Ontario, where I'll be interviewing Ira Nayman. Interestingly, Ira is a species of small marsupial that lives in Australia, feeding on eucalyptus leaves, requiring very little.
Well, actually, Stephen, that was a bit of a typo. I wrote small marsupial, but what I actually meant to say was science fiction author.
Oh my. I'm quite sorry. My web researcher must have misinterpreted. I'd cut his pay, but well, I really need the money and you can't cut nothing. Honestly, you can't trust anything written on the web nowadays. So you wouldn't know anybody interested in a gross of eucalyptus leaves, would you?
Oh, I wouldn't say that, but let's talk after the interview.
Okay. Seriously, I've read your work with the alternative reality news service. What brought about the idea for that?
Well, it starts on my website, Les Pages Folles. It's a site of political and social satire, and it's always evolving. I'm always trying to find new ways of expressing my comic ideas. And the idea of having fake news from alternate realities was an extension of what I was doing there.
Where could people access your work?
Well, my website, obviously, Les Pages Folles. I've also self-published 3 collections of alternate reality news service stories. What Were Once Miracles Are Now Children's Toys, Alternate Reality Ain't What It Used to Be, and Luna for the Loonies. And those are all available on Amazon and various other places.
Cool. I've heard you have a new novel coming out soon. Can you tell us a little about it?
I'd be delighted to. It's called Welcome to the Multiverse. Sorry for the inconvenience. The basic idea is it's kind of an offshoot of the alternate reality news service stories. It follows the adventures, I guess you'd call them, of Transdimensional Authority investigators. The Transdimensional Authority is the organization that polices travel between universes.
Are you working on anything at the present?
Well, the website, Les Pages Folles, is what I think of as the voracious maw. It needs to be updated every week, and I have to constantly be writing new material for that. I'm currently editing the manuscript for the book, which, all being well, will be out in March 2013. And I always have new stories kind of on the go, but I don't really like talking about works in progress, so I'm not going to say too much about that.
Okie doke. You have a PhD. Do you find that your formal education helps with your writing?
Absolutely. My PhD is in communications, and a lot of the science fiction I write has to do with communications networks and things like that, so it has a direct influence there. It's also true that going through higher education really helps you analyze and think about the world that you live in. So to that extent, just in terms of the way I approach writing, I was very much influenced by that experience.
How heavily do you draw on your own life experience when you're writing?
Absolutely none. It's all based on newspaper articles, magazine articles, research that I do, but very little is based on my own personal experience.
What do you think is the obligation of the fiction writer in the current era?
Well, fiction is sometimes referred to as the lie that tells the truth. It's obviously not what happens in the real world, but it reflects back what the author believes is happening in the real world. And I think given all of our social and economic problems right now, telling the truth about what's going on in the world is perhaps always the obligation of the author, but these days even more so.
Agree 110%. Where do you see the publishing industry heading in the next 5 years?
Well, it's kind of gotten two sorts of streams. On the one hand, you have mainstream publishers that are getting bigger and bigger as they get swallowed up by larger and larger entertainment conglomerates. And that's a problem, because they're willing to pay, $10 million for Madonna's next book. But because they can't make their money back off of that, they're actually losing a substantial amount of money, and they're cutting out the mid-level authors. So people who used to be able to get published are finding it a lot more difficult. The smaller presses are getting swamped by all of these authors, and they do what they can, but there's really nobody to take up the slack. So in that sense, the publishing industry, the professional publishing industry, is really narrowing down and really giving a lot of authors who may have been published in the past a hard time. Now, at the same time as that is going on, of course, self-publishing has never been easier. An author who wants to publish a book can get it out there very quickly and at minimal cost. And in addition to that, you have the internet, which we're still learning how to use as a promotional tool. But when you look at self-publishing and the internet as a promotional tool, the opportunities for writers on their own initiative is actually much greater than it has been. So pluses and minuses, as with everything, I guess.
If you could be any character or profession from one of your books, which would it be?
I would love to be a transdimensional authority investigator. Being able to travel through different universes to have experiences and adventures there, that would be awesome.
Thank you, Ira. For more about Ira Nayman and his works, visit his website at www.lespageuxfolles.ca.
Thank you kindly, sir.
Okay,
This interview brought to you by the works of Stephen B. Pearl, the finest in speculative fiction. Free stories, first chapters, and more. Available at www.stephenpearl.com.